Are you struggling to catch bass with your forward-facing sonar? I'm about to share with you 5 things to not do with your forward-facing sonar to help you go out and be more efficient with it and catch bass with it. Right now, it's the hottest topic, technology in bass fishing, and I've been luckily in the boat with a lot of different forward-facing sonar units. I've had it on my boat for 4 or 5 years now, and so I'm just going to try to help you go out and be more efficient with it. One of my most requested trips, I'm a guide, but I actually do the on-the-water lessons, forward-facing sonar lessons. That's my most requested trip. So I go out in people's boats, teach them how to use it. So I've been using it a lot, and for the last year and a half, almost caught, every fish with it. So, number one, the first thing, guys, to not do with forward-facing sonar is just chase one fish or a whole group of fish and keep throwing and throwing and throwing at them. Okay, guys? There are times where they're not going to eat. And I know now in tournaments, I've known of anglers that just follow a big fish around, but they do not throw at it. Now, they're really good with their unit, and they can read fish. They throw it a couple times, see it not eat, then they do follow it. And if you have a limit of bass and you're trying to catch one, this is okay. But if you are a new angler, or not new angler, you can be an experienced 30 years, 40 years. But if you're new to the forward-facing sonar, do not just follow one fish and throw at it. If it's a group of fish, and you're throwing different lures and they're not eating. Guys, there are times fish do not eat. I like to go out and try to find another group of fish that might be eating. There's always a timely factor to it. So the first one is to not just throw at one fish over and over and over and over again. The second one, okay, is not just to throw one lure, but to learn all your lures with it, okay? Now, what I do tell my clients and tell, anglers that I know, if you are wanting to get good at it, start off with like 2 to 3 rods on the deck and learn how the casting of them with it, like when it's 60 feet, 70 feet, 80 feet, see their action in the water, then pick up another lure and do the same. And when I say 2 to 3, of course, a jig head minnow is going to be one. I got rods everywhere. Like a jig head minnow style, of course, is going to be one preferred. And then, guys, try something else, a bigger bait. I always taught, like in the winter, to kind of that post-spawn Alabama rig. Alabama rig's big, it attracts bass, it pulls bass out of cover. So an Alabama rig is another one. But another one you can do, guys, is a glide bait. So I have like an Alabama rig and then a big swim bait. It could be a big soft plastic swim bait, a big swim bait. And I say big just so you can get used to seeing fish come out of cover, how they will come a long ways for this guy, how they will come 15 foot off the bottom. Then check this dude out. And then like another lure I will say is something on the bottom. A football jig or a Carolina rig or a big worm, okay? So try a couple different lures, different techniques, as I just said, a finesse one, a big swim bait, and then something on the bottom, okay? So try 3 baits or multiple baits. Try to learn them all. But I know a lot of guys that just throw one, they'll go a whole day and throw one lure. And they might not be catching fish because the fish are not eating that one lure. Now the next thing is, number 3, is actually use it. I know anglers that have it and they're not using it to its full potential, okay? Now, if you want to get better at it, you got to use it. I tell people, try to catch every fish with it, and then you'll learn what bass are, okay? Because bass are going to behave differently than drum, than brim, crappie. You'll start learning the size, but try to use it. But I know guys that do not use it. They got it on their boat, do not use it. Now I know if you're in a tournament, fish to your strengths, fish how you fish. Learning it in the tournament might not be the best thing. Now, you can see how fish act and how you're using it, learn from it, yes. But if you want to get better at it, use it. Don't just have it sit right there in the water and you're just still fishing, okay? Watch how your lure goes down the brush piles. Watch how it's on the bottom, okay? Just find ways to learn how to use it to its full potential. Now, the fourth one, I'm going to go kind of more in depth on the fourth one, and I'm not trying to go against any anglers that has this piece of equipment on the boat, okay? I have friends that have this next equipment on the boat. I'm going to share from my experience to help you guys out. Now, before I do that, though, as I mentioned earlier, I have my forward-facing on-the-water lessons or electronic lessons guide trips. If you're interested, go down the link below. Check out my Jimmy Eastling Fishing Facebook page. I'm located here in Hot Springs, Arkansas, but I will travel. I've gone to Texas, Oklahoma. I'll travel depending if you want to pay for me to travel to come up there to you. Now, the fourth one, guys, is the turret. The turret is the separate pole that your transducer's on, and it typically has a button for your foot. So, dude, I am against the turret, but let's talk about more on that. Because there is a time for it. There's a place for it. But before I go against it, look at the professionals right now that are dominating with this. Does Patrick Walters have a turret? Ben Milliken, Drew Gill, Jacob Wheeler, do those guys have a turret on the deck? They do not. They do not. I'll tell you why. Now, like I said, there's a time for it. I don't want you to get mad at me right now. If you're fishing in Texas, and those fish get on structure, they get on them points hard, they get on them ledges, they get on them flats, and then there's brush piles on there, road beds, okay? And you're typically a spot lock guy, and you fish spots. Lake Fork guys, you don't even need live scope in the summer. I've caught bags and bags and bags. I fished with Jason Kahn last year, one of the Lake Fork guides. We never even turned it on, but we used spot lock and threw it road beds and high spots with Carolina rigs. Okay, so if you're in Texas, turret's okay, because you're fishing more spot heavy. But if you see those guys across the country, they are not using it. Why they're not using it is because, like I've experienced, okay? Now, if you're a crappie guy too, hey, it helps with crappie fishing. Guys, I understand. Remember earlier, I've been in over 80 boats. And I want to share a story in a minute how one of my clients took it off the turret, but he has the turret on there for crappie fishing and fishing in high days of wind, okay? So, but what the turret does, if you're truly using it to see bass and see and try to search areas, it's a whole nother thing you got to work. You have 2 feet. One using the trolling motor, one using the turret. It is hard to search, and it's hard to go up there and play the drums, unless, and I call it playing the drums when you have 2 foot pedals going, unless if you're like sitting in a chair and you're here doing it. It is hard, guys. It is hard. Now, where I think a turret comes handy is, let's say I have it on my trolling motor, and then I have a turret with another transducer. I think that's sweet. Okay, but I don't got that because I think it's not necessary for me and what I do. But if I was fishing professionally for a lot of money, probably would have it. But guys, I did have that client who has gone on multiple trips with me. The first trip, we were in his boat, had the turret. We whacked him that day. Whacked him, but there was no wind. The next day, he fished with me in my boat, and it was windy. And he realized, wow, how you, with the wind, your foot's on the trolling motor, you see, you know, and there are times, guys, like if you're fishing a brush pile, I don't got a spot lock and look at the brush pile. I've caught fish in that brush pile or in brush piles or on spots without live scope for 18 years or so, right? Like I did it without. So you don't need to spot lock and look at it. I mean, you kind of visualize it. If you've been fishing for a long time, you visualize it, know where it's at, throw. Now, of course, guys, live scope has also helped in saving lures and money. Deep diving crankbaits right now. Think of all those crankbaits I have lost. You might have before live scope, throwing them, hitting that brush pile, that spot. Now we can see it and you know how to run. So that's why I know a turret can come handy when you are fishing in the wind and fishing situations. So if you have it on the turret, what I know if people have done is if they're true bass fishing, they have it set up to where they can put it on their transducer. And then if they're crappie fishing, they put it on the turret. Pretty smart. I know a few dudes that do it this way. And if it's a day of high wind and they're not as comfortable running the trolling motor, hey, they put it on the turret. Do what you want that helps you. But I'm just sharing with you guys, before you go out and spend the money, just know that it's hard to work 2 things at once, okay? Now, the 5th thing, number 5. This one's a biggie, and I'm not trying to get upset with any of you guys either. And if you have the money, and if you want to do this, more power to you. Like, hey, I'm for you. You have made your money successfully. You have worked hard. You buy as many transducers as you want. Okay, that's what I'm getting to. You only need 1 transducer, guys. If you're like me, I mean, I fish for a living. I have 1 transducer. Drew Gill, one of the best scopers, young kids out there, 1 transducer. You see pros with 2 or 3 or 4. It's getting ridiculous. Okay, you don't need those. You just need 1. Okay, you just need 1 transducer. Now, if you're more like shallow water guy, right, and you want that perspective mode, go for it. If you already have 2, and before you get mad at me, I'm just telling you, you can have 2. I'm just trying to share where if you are on a tight budget, okay, 1's enough. You don't need 2, okay? But like I said, if I hit the lottery tomorrow, I don't buy lottery tickets, by the way, but if I hit the lottery tomorrow and all of a sudden or someone just says, hey, Jimmy, here's $10 million, I'll buy a boat with 2, okay? But guys, in my situation, I have kids. I have more other things. I catch fish with 1 just fine, okay? And look, guys, I don't even have a spotlight trolling motor. I try to tell you guys, look, the Fortrex is still on the boat. Now, the next big thing I will get is that Quest trolling motor. It's sweet, okay? Been in all the boats. They're all good trolling motors, but the Quest is awesome. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So, but one transducer is all you need if you're a weekend angler or if you're a tournament angler that doesn't fish for $100,000 every, like they fish for $100,000 8 times of the year. But guys, look at the pros right now. A lot of pros this year went to 2 transducers or more. They're not doing near as good as they did last year with 1. Not gonna say their names. And it might just be a coincidence. Some of them guys have like 70 inches of screen up here. You don't got to do that either. That might be number 6. It's now just turned into a 6th thing you need to do without it. You don't need 20 inches of screen up there. I have a 12-inch unit. I think 12 is perfect. A 10 is great. I have a 12. A 12 is great. Now, if NBT called me and was like, here's a 24-inch NBT, and I use it and tell you guys about it, hey, I'll probably like it. But I'm not going to go spend that money on a 24-inch screen. You can if you want. I have young eyes right now. I can see fine with my 12 with that 12-inch screen. Now a 9-inch screen is tough. I will tell you guys that. I've been in boats with a 9-inch screen. It is hard. That 12 is a lot better. That 10's a lot better. So if I got in that boat, that 24, it might be even that much better. But I don't need it. Y'all don't need it either. Okay, like I said, to do more power to you. Okay. But guys, hopefully you enjoy this video. Let me know what you think about it. What are something that you think is to not do with forward-facing sonar? Leave me some comments down below. I should have said that earlier. Appreciate you guys, and come back and see us on the next one.